Whenever you try to get somebody to heal or change in their life, you might notice there is a lot of resistance into it even when they asked you to help them. And in this video, I would like to break down a simple set of linguistic patterns that can help anyone to get more clarity and hope in their life even when they think that they are stuck. So we are going to use the Sleight of Mouth model, but instead of giving you some theoretical explanation about how it works, this time we will take a specific breakdown of a real case and notice how you can always lead the thought process of somebody to make them find their own solutions easily without having to force on their defenses. For example, let's take the statement, because of the lack of visible options in my life, or the person says, I don't see any options in my life, I don't see any way out, because of that I am stuck and I can't move on. Or nobody can help me, I am hopeless, I am a victim, whatever. Because of the lack of visible options, I am stuck and I cannot change anything about that. First of all, when you hear a statement like this, the biggest negative habit I have seen into beginners is to try to think about, okay, how do I use all of what is around? I take one category, one set of language patterns, and I try to think, obsess over how do I use the consequence or the apply to self or the metaphor. They over-obsess, over-analyze how the language pattern should be used in that example. And that is the worst way ever to use that model, because the real question is not how do I use those patterns. The real question is how do I take that one fucking statement in the middle and refute it from being true, or confuse it enough so that the person who held such a statement starts to even doubt its existence. So it is not about destroying their limiting belief or attacking their belief or changing their belief, not even changing their belief. It is simply about how can I make them realize, or at least consider the possibility that their statement, their limitation, their belief is just a subjective experience and is not based on reality as much as they thought. Because if I can't get there, when I can't get them to think that, to realize that their statement, their belief about their limitation is just something subjective they have made up, not something real, when I can make them accept that, then it opens some space in their mind to put into place new behaviors and new solutions they hadn't used so far. If there is not this space open in their brain, then anything else I say will just get like this, they won't even remember it and they may not even listen to me. Whereas if I can confuse their belief first, then they're gonna listen, because when the mind is confused, they try to get a hook on the first thing they can understand, which will be my positive suggestions in that moment. So the first thing I want to do is clarifying which options specifically. Obviously, like you know, if you have helped people in the past, we first want to get down into the specific problem, not just stay into vague descriptions of my life is sad, I don't like myself. Yeah. More specifically, you say options are not visible in your life. You like some vision for your future, for example. Which options specifically? What kind of future do you lack right now? What is not clear in your future or in your present life? Which options specifically? And let's say the person tells me, well, every time I try to save my marriage, things get messy. Okay, so just because I have asked something specific, now we get into something much more tangible, a relationship problem. Fine, we can work with that. It is already more clear than my life is stuck, which doesn't mean anything. My life could go well or not go well. That doesn't tell you anything about what is really happening for me. So, marriage, okay, your relationship is problematic. We can explore that. Basically, what he revealed here is an intention. So the intention pattern, because he said he tried whenever he tries to save his relationship. So there is some positive intention that is not fulfilled. It is there, but it is not leading to a positive outcome, at least not yet. Therefore, I want to dig more into this. You see, I don't try to think randomly about where to go in that model. I think I focus more on what is the problem. problem? What is the main statement I need to debunk? What is the main limiting statement I need to confuse? I always focus on what they tell me. I don't focus on that model, I focus on what do they tell me. And all those directions are just facilitators to confuse their belief. So in order to confuse that properly, let's say that I use the apply to self pattern. So applying to self is basically you take one criteria in their sentence or one element of their phrase and you redirect the exact same element back at themselves. So if you tell me, I don't like you, I might challenge you, do you even like yourself? Instead of overreacting, I redirect at you using the same verb, like. You don't like me? Yeah. Do you even like yourself? Do you even like anyone? That way I diffuse the conflict. But back to this example. So every time I try to save my marriage, things get messy. Have you tried to save yourself? First of all, at least. I challenge with this idea because from experience, building a strong sense of identity as a resourceful individual is more relevant than trying to change the context around you and the people around you. Even somebody really close to you, like your wife or husband, yeah, even before trying to alter their behavior or communicate with them, first of all, have you your behaviors, do they come from a strong sense of possibilities, from a strong self-esteem? If it is not the case, then anything you might say will just get a blip in the wind, because it doesn't come from somebody grounded. So, have you tried to save yourself? I want to help that person build a stronger image of what they are capable of and of what they can accomplish. We always try to change the context around us, which is more difficult than changing ourselves. On the opposite, once we have changed ourselves successfully, curiously the context around us changes by itself. Not in a miraculous or like mystical way, just because you don't react to the same things anymore, you don't overreact to the same things or people anymore, and you have a different behavior with problematic people in your life. And you notice opportunities you were not noticing before, because you didn't have the right sense of identity. So first of all, I challenge. You want to save somebody else. Yeah, have you tried to save yourself first? And obviously, whenever I start touching on some wound, some hurt feeling or some limiting belief, the core of a limiting belief, the person will do everything they can to move around to not confront the painful emotion, which I am perfectly used to, normal. So he says in that example, by broadening the frame size, no, it is not just me. It is whenever I try to do something, she tells me what I should do. Or whenever I try to engage into some other activity, she is there to stop me from doing it. So it is not, the context is not just me, it is really that person, his wife, around me, and all the things we are supposed to do together, or me by myself, but she's always there to prevent me from doing them. So by the way, that is perfectly normal. If I want to make that person reflect on something deep about themselves and they flip around to avoid confronting the feelings I want to make them experience, that is completely normal. And even if they don't experience them at the moment I talk to them, they will experience them later as they remember our conversation or as they bump into the same situations again. So opening spots in their mind with this model doesn't even need to get a strong, massive quantum leap at the moment you speak from them. It is just about getting their mind into directions they are not used to go into. And as a result from there, I challenge at the end with another outcome. So what if the goal was not to change her or to save the relationship, to save the marriage? What if the goal was not this, but it was actually to tell her, your wife, what you truly think about her, or what you think of her, or what you think when you are spending time with her? What do you really think of that? Are you honest with yourself? And what if the goal was actually to tell her what you think? And there the client experiences, a blank. He doesn't know anymore what to reply, because that is a vulnerable spot he has never been into. Self-honesty, radical honesty, impossible, I can't, could never happen. Those are the moments where the mind opens up, the moments where the mind is going to places it is not used to get into. From there, if I want to teach him some solutions, he's going to listen, because now I have opened a spot. When we are like 2 steps ago at the phase where I tell something and he just flips the conversation to avoid accepting my suggestion, then it is not ready yet. Then at that moment, just trying to force on the person, that is useless. Keep being flexible, keep moving around until at some point they have a blank. It is causing a pattern interrupt. They don't know how to reply. That is where the therapy is starting to work, because now we can build up from something new, something fresh, erecting better boundaries in his mind, in that example, getting him to establish better boundaries. And from there, in that example, maybe the marriage is going to be saved indeed because of the better communication skills of the husband. Maybe it will be the final clash to put an end to it. That depends on the person. I can't tell that person what he should or should not do, even if I was trying. That could be borderline manipulative in that case. And if I was trying, that might even be ignored because I can't control his life. I can only open his mind to make him find his own answers. In the end, maybe he will want to follow up or not with his wife. That's not in my responsibility. My responsibility is to get that person more honest with himself. That is all. As long as I have done that, then he may love me or hate me, whatever. At least I have brought that person closer to being more honest with himself. So as a recap, stop trying to figure out all of those patterns. Don't even need all of them, by the way. I have my simplified version in Magical Linguistics, which will give you only what is the most relevant and dismiss some of the things that are not really absolutely essential. And always aim at refuting the main statement, confusing the main statement at the middle. You don't need to change or break their belief. You simply need to confuse it to the point where the person starts doubting that their limitation is even real. From there, they will be more open to change, and they might, in most cases even, find the answers by themselves after the session because their mind is not cluttered anymore by all those limitations. And if you want to summarize all of that to only what works best even within Sleight of Mouth, you have a document down below that I will be glad to send you called The 7 Steps to Master Sleight of Mouth. It will teach you exactly what you have to know to always use the right patterns at the right time, no matter who you speak to. It might be some child you want to reassure, it might be some manipulator you want to get away from, it might be somebody you want to communicate in a healthier way with. All of those techniques are covered in the manual down below. You can download it and you will have it right away. And with that in mind, thanks a lot for watching. I always have a lot of pleasure to have you here, and see you soon in the next video. Thank you.